How's it going, everyone? Gill Gross here. Monte Carlo quarterfinals are set, so I thought I'd run through these round of 16 matches. Nothing in great depth, but might as well get through them. That way I can offer a bit of my thoughts. Djokovic defeats Taylor Fritz 6-3, 6-0, and this is significant because it's really the first time Djokovic has looked pretty good since the Australian Open. And if you don't believe me, well, he's only won in straight sets twice. Tomic, and he went to a first set tiebreak, and for Tangelo, which I think that was also a tiebreak. So those are two kind of lower level, at least, Tomic talented, but for Tangelo, certainly a lower level player where he had to go to tiebreaks. And I mean, this is the first time he's really beaten someone without any trouble. And for Taylor Fritz, this is a good week. He beat Diego Schwartzman in the last round. So good win for him. And Djokovic finally comes out and looks really clean out there. Medvedev defeats Tsitsipas 6-2, 1-6, 6-4. I was so upset that they scheduled this first match because it's 5 a.m. where I'm at, so I couldn't watch it. I have to go back. But this rivalry is getting out of hand. Medvedev and Tsitsipas at Indian Wells last year. If you're a tennis fan, you remember this, or it might have been 2 years. It was either last year or 2 years ago. I think it was last year. It must have been last year. These guys weren't even on the map 2 years ago. After the match, Medvedev said, Stefanos, you want to fight? And because Stefanos allegedly called him crazy Russian. And then Stefanos just walked off the court, and Medvedev goes, this is BS. But he said the word, I'll keep it PG. And he goes, he called me crazy Russian. What? You have to fight now. So that's what happened with that. They hate each other. They still hate each other. The handshake was icy cold. I thought that Tsitsipas would have had a better time on clay than hard court, and maybe he did because he did win the second set 6-1. It was a tight affair. Again, I didn't watch it. But Medvedev had won the previous 3 meetings on hard court, and now he's even won on clay, where it seems like Tsitsipas's forehand would be the biggest weapon, taking over maybe Medvedev's backhand because it's a flatter shot and because he doesn't generate as much of his own pace. So you'd think when the court slows down, it would accentuate Medvedev's ability to generate his own pace, or Tsitsipas's ability to generate his own pace, and would kind of hurt Medvedev, who likes to, 1, hit low and flat, and 2, use opponent's pace against them. I'm a little bit surprised at Medvedev's form here in Monte Carlo, to be quite frank. We'll see if this continues throughout the clay court season. It's just one tournament, but I did not expect for Medvedev to have this kind of success on clay. I thought it would be, I would think that he'd be way stronger on hard court and grass court. So far, he's proven me wrong. Dusan Lajovic defeats Dominic Thiem 6-3, 6-3. Not a typo, people. The shock of the tournament. You guys know I'm very willing to take a favorite if Federer or Nadal or Djokovic loses, and I will tell them, I will say if they played bad, I will say they played bad, and the other dude just played fine, and they crapped the bed. I am willing to say that. But I gotta say, Dusan Lajovic played really, really well, and this is a guy with unbelievable ball striking capabilities, and I think he's just a little bit slow. So I think on faster courts, I'll say, sometimes he can't get in position in time, and it takes away from what he can do as a ball striker, because you got to get in the right position. He has pretty long strokes, great hip rotation on his forehand. And I think when the play slows down enough for him, it gives him enough time to get in the right spot. And his ball striking was really on display. His one-handed backhand, he's got a really big forehand, decent serve. Thiem was a little bit off, but I mean, I think Dominic would have beaten a lot of players today. And Lajovic really, no problem, took him out 6-3, 6-3. Very, very shocking and huge for Novak Djokovic on his side of the draw, because I do still believe that Thiem would have threatened him in a really big way. Lorenzo Sonego defeats Cameron Norrie 6-2, 7-5. Whoops, I forgot to change the caption. I didn't even... Where did this guy come from? Was from an old PowerPoint, so I did not mean to say that. But it kind of applies because I haven't actually been able to watch Lorenzo Sonego yet, so I'm gonna try to see him, because this has been a breakout tournament, and it's exciting for him as an Italian playing very close to home, and a good breakout performance from him. Cam Norrie is extremely consistent and very hardworking, so obviously a tough test on the clay. Fabio Fognini defeats Sascha Zverev 7-6, 6-1. Boy, did both players need this. So Fognini came into this tournament 1-7 on the season, and then Zverev's struggles also very well documented. He hasn't went deep in a tournament all season long. So both, I mean, this is two players desperate. And Zverev had a set point in the first set. It was tightly contested. It was good tennis for the most part. And Sasha missed two forehands. And then I think maybe missed a volley. Classic, Zverev-esque errors, I would say. The shots that failed him in the first set. But I also want to highlight Fognini's backhand down the line, which really had left a huge imprint on this match, because he was able to stretch Zverev out on his forehand wing almost at will. Obviously, the two-handed backhand down the line, that's a shot that is... Fognini hits that shot uniquely well, with great precision and great pace when he's on. And he lined that up time and time and time again. So a great job from Fognini, using that shot to stretch Zverev out on his forehand wing. Zverev isn't the kind of guy who will really hurt you in the open court if you put him on the run. If you hit a backhand down the line, some players, like if you do that to, let's go Dominic Thiem, for example. When you hit a lot of backhands down the line against Dominic Thiem, Thiem's got a good running forehand, and if he gets to the ball, the cross court's open, because you don't have much time to recover. If you hit that aggressive shot down the line, not much time to recover to the middle. The open court, the angle is open, and a player like Dominic Thiem can hurt you. Players should go down the line with their backhand very often against Zverev, because he doesn't have the ability to be on the run and also to hurt you cross court with that on the run forehand cross court. His forehand isn't strong enough. So good matchup there for Fognini. And he might see something similar against Borna Coric in the next round. Speaking of which, Coric defeats Herbert, PH Herbert, 6-4, 6-2. And in the previous two matches, Coric has had to work really, really hard to get through him. And finally, he gets off the court quickly. So he needed this, obviously, to preserve his body if he wants to go deep in this tournament. Coric is a guy, again, I've always thought that he should be built for slow courts. He is a physical beast. He can be pretty consistent, but he doesn't have massive weapons. The backhand is pretty good, but it's got to be lined up. He doesn't have massive weapons. For some reason, his best results have been on fast courts. I don't understand that, and I think it would bode well for Coric if those results start to turn around. I mean, he should be good on clay. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I don't think he's the most natural mover on it, and I question how much he played on clay growing up, because he doesn't feel very comfortable on it. But his strengths are well suited for clay, so watch out for Coric, and it's good to see him going deep here in Monte Carlo. Guido Pella defeats Marco Cecchinato 6-4, 4-6, 6-4. This was another match super early in the morning. Couldn't watch it, but I heard this match was tremendously entertaining. And Guido Pella, this is a player who hasn't really gotten like the massive shine in 2019. It's not like people are buzzing about Guido Pella, but take a look at his results. He has been rock solid. He will, I believe, debut in the top 30 after this tournament, and Pela has really had a good year. So this is now a guy, Pela and Cecchinato, both of them, and Cecchinato might be seeded pretty high, but Pela is one of those guys, the top seeds will not want to play him in the third round. Which is when you'll first start to play those lower seeds. And Pela is a guy who people will want to avoid. Nadal defeats Dimitrov 6-4, 6-1. Grigor was right with Rafa. He was really flying around the court. He was consistent. He was moving well. He was battling. But then from 4-all in the first set, the level dip. And when I see Grigor's level just dip at the end there, to me that's just a lack of belief. Where at the end of the set you don't feel like you should. You either feel like you're overachieving. Something mentally did not allow him to maintain his level. And then Nadal pounced on him in the second set. Rafa looks amazing. What did I tell you? I mean, come on. He's gonna. You give him time to train and properly prepare for a clay court tournament like this. He's not gonna come back from injury and be rusty. I mean, let's go. Time and time again, we see this. You give Nadal practice time, he's not going to be rusty when he comes off of injury. That's all for me. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.